So I'll give people another minute and then we will get started. So you could grab your water and you could get some paint into your paint palette. Now I've got 2 blank pages, so for the warm-up, the breathing exercise we're going to do for the warm-up, I'm going to do the lines that I might need for this page of Ladybirds, and then I'm going to decide if I want to carry on with that or if I want to go and do these and I can work on the other side, or I think I've got another piece of paper over there. So just to warn you, I may not carry on with the warm-up, but also I might, because I can't decide. So we're going to do a little bit of a breathing warm-up. Now, because I messed up the time and because I was running around like a little bit of a headless chicken, I kind of feel like I want to just breathe for a minute. So I'm going to pop my feet on the floor, trying not to squelch Watson and Sherlock, who have decided that being near to me is essential today. So they're right by my feet. So make sure my bum's back in my seat, and I'm just going to take myself 3 nice breaths before I start getting my paint ready. Just an in and an out. And as I'm breathing out, I'm letting my shoulders drop, because when I get the more tense I get, the closer to my ears my shoulders become. And breathe in and out. And this last one, I'm just going to make sure that I'm relaxing my jaw and that my tongue isn't stuck to the roof of my mouth, because that happens too to me. In and out. So you might get slightly more settled me to begin with. Now, I've done for like years, before I had my youngest, so well over 12 years, exercises where I've done kind of various visualisations involving trees and roots and all kinds of things to help you feel grounded and connected to the earth. And there are some great ones out there on YouTube, and lots that you can find out about. But what I find for me now, because I've done that so much, there's kind of almost a memory that I can say in my head, I want to feel grounded, and I get this pull that goes when I'm sitting in the seat kind of down my spine and helps me feel grounded and connected. Another thing that I do that helps is I kind of wiggle my toes and feel the ground beneath my feet. So I'm doing those things now. I'm going to grab, this, which is a fairly long round. I like doing lines with this, and this is a number 2. And I've got an older brush for picking up colours, and I'm going to go for a fairly bright green, but I'm going to mix it. So I'm going to grab some May green and pop that in to start with. And a little bit of, it's a lovely bright green, and I just want to add a little bit more depth to it. So I'm going to try this. This is olive green. I'm just going to put a bit of it in, and it kind of just, oops, I'm flicking it everywhere. I don't know, my brain thinks I need a darker kind of green in there. Yeah, okay, that gives me a nice, so it kind of muted, so I can go back and I can pop in more of that May green and just play around now until I'm getting a nice kind of green that I like. And this is what I'm going to use for this exercise at the start. So we're going to try getting our breathing to go with what our brush is doing again. I'm going to turn mine round so that I'm working from here and pulling away from myself. So this is basically what you need to begin. You need any kind of piece of paper that you want to work on. It can be big, small, scrap, whatever. You need to have mixed up a colour. I'm using green because I could use those as branches for my ladybirds afterwards if I wanted to. Like I said, I still haven't decided which one I want to go with. And a brush that you are happy that you can pull lines with, and some kind of a round ideally, because with a round you can press down on your brush and you can lift it to get different thicknesses. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a minute or two to grab those things. I'm going to wet my brush, and I am going to just grab myself a tissue, which is all the way up here. And if you hear rustling, it's because we were replenishing our supplies of silver birch bark for firelighting and firelighting competitions in the garden. When we have a firelighting competition, you're only allowed to use silver birch bark and a steel, which kind of makes a spark. So no matches, no cotton wool, no Vaseline, nothing, just birch bark, your sparky striker, and any thin little twigs that you can gather and find. So, okay, so this is the way this exercise is going to work. On our in-breath, we're going to load up with paint. On our out-breath, we're going to pull the brush away from us and make a line. And when we're making that line, we can use the tip, we can press down, and we're pulling it away from us as we breathe out, just like that. Okay? So we're going to aim to do at least 10 of those, and we're just going to do 10 breaths. Now you need to work at the right speed for you, and you might find that today I don't talk as much because I really need to do this part of the exercise today, and I need that focusing and controlling my breathing that I can't do when I'm talking to you, so it might go a little bit quiet. So aim to do about 10, and then we will stop and see if we're feeling in the right kind of frame of mind to paint. So loading the paint on my in-breath, pulling the line away from me on my out-breath, and you want to make that line last as long as your out-breath lasts, so that as you're breathing in, you're picking up to go and pick up your paint. Okay. Hi Leah Donna. Okay, so that's a really nice way to just do something. If you don't have a lot of time, that kind of practice is really, really good. And I feel much more in control and kind of connected with my breathing, I suppose. Your creeping scores 3. Let's see how the other 2 creep through. That's what I want to know. So on this here now, we could create different kinds of ladybirds. And essentially, if you wanted to do that, I've got a little bit of a red over here that I can use to show you what I would do. So I'm just going to grab the right kind of brush. This is about a size 3, and this one's a spotter. I've just got a little bit of red. So what I would do is, it might be a little bit big actually, you might need a smaller brush in fact, just a little bit above, I would paint that semicircle, and that would be it. And then into that red I might add a little bit of an orangey red, and ooh, I've got a hair, exciting. I would paint another little semicircle like that, and then I would keep adding either orange or red, and I might dot them about the place, and I'm leaving a little gap so I can draw their legs in. When those are dry, you could then use a black pen to mark off the head space, put on the little antennae, put on your spots, draw on 6 little legs, and that would be a really easy way of doing ladybirds. So we can absolutely do that. The other thing we can do is we can go for painting these kind of shapes and then adding detail onto them. So this is number 1, Twiggy Ladybirds, and this is number 2. Which one would you prefer to do? And I'm just going to try and count up 1s and 2s from anybody who pops it in the chat, and we'll go with that one because I'm still undecided. Decisions are really hard for me at the moment, so I'm asking you guys to help me out. So we can do a Twiggy one like this, or a page of basically really kind of whimsical looking bugs. Maybe they'd be a little bit bigger, and then we can go and put patterns and glazing and those kind of things onto those. So what do you reckon? Julie fancies 2. Okay, so I need a little tally sheet, don't you? I'll use one of these and I will create a tally chart. Okay, so 1 and we've got 2. So Sandra fancies 2, Nancy fancies 2, Kay fancies 2. Nancy also fancies 2. I need to come up with nicknames for you two, so that if you know which Nancy I'm talking to, don't I? Jill, yes I can. So this one, we'd carry on working on this. We put little legs on, black half heads and some spots, and put ladybirds all over it. Or the other one, I have to wait because I've got a little bit of lag for me seeing, would be to do these kind of whimsical ladybirds where this top part where the head is would be coloured in, painted in a neutral colour. Then we'd paint this bottom part in a brighter colour. It would dry, and then we would glaze on or draw on patterns. So no legs, and it doesn't have to be spots. It could be any kind of patterns that we put on them, and we're not going to stick to red and black. It'll be all kinds of colours. So Jez is a 2. Leah Donna's a 2. Erica's a 2. Jill's a 2. I'm guessing, I can't see, I don't know how to tell how many people are watching, so I'm feeling like that's a fairly, you know, clear indication that we want to do number 2. So we will go with doing number 2, and I'll return to these little guys another time. So is it dry enough for me to turn over? That's the first check. Okay, yes it is. So is this clean enough? I hate working on a grubby page. Let's see. But I'm going to have to work on it sometime, so I'm just going to go with it. Right. Ooh. We can score their creeping. I'm scoring that creeping a 3, same as your brother. So I'm going to create myself a little bit of a grid, I think, to do these, because I want them to kind of be in rows. That's what I'm feeling like I want. So I'm going to grab myself just a mechanical pencil out, and I'm going to see how it's my page. Yeah, it split easily into anything. Not particularly, so I'm just going to use my ruler width, I think. So this is a narrower ruler than I normally use. So I put my ruler down at the edge, drew a line, matched that up, drew a line. I can definitely do switching my glasses. This is just because I want a grid. If you're not bothered about them being straight, you can totally skip this part. I'm going to do the same here. I feel like that line's a bit bendy, so I'm just going to do that. And then here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to match it up to the edge of my paper there, and just draw a line and then I'm going to match up to that line. I'm going to get a little square space. Now, do I want a square? I can probably make a square work for me, I think. These spaces might be a little smaller than what I was imagining in my head, but I don't have a bigger ruler, so for now, this will definitely do me. Right. There we go. Elliot, would you just shut the living room door for me, please? Thank you, darling. There we go. So I've got a sort of grid. Now I'm not going to draw in these bits here. So I'm going to take the lines away to remind myself. Not all the way, because I don't want to go up and end up rubbing out something I do want. And I'm not going to use this bit here either, because they're not full squares. So I'm going to use up some of my rainbow paint, I think. Thanks, Nancy. So I'm going to grab a round or a spotter, probably about a number 5 you want. You might like a bit smaller. And I'm going to paint some of these little heads. I'm going to leave my number 5 and I'll leave my number 3. And I need to switch my glasses over. So we might not get the whole page done, but we'll certainly get the first row done. Or a few dotted around the page. Right, so I need a kind of a neutral colour or a neutralist colour to paint the top. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the orange and a little bit of the blue. Nearly. Put a bit of green in, a little bit of that orange. I might pop in a little touch of the purple. I try to use all of the colours in mixing the neutral so that it will go with all of them. I'm quite liking that. It's kind of a greyy, neutrally colour. So what I'm going to do is paint a semicircle. Now let me see if I can move my chair rather than moving the paper. I'm going to go here and paint a semicircle. Now I've never tried to paint these before, so I might discover really important and interesting things as I'm doing them. I want to paint some different size semicircles. I'm going to do a little bit like that. Apologies for any binging noises, I haven't remembered to turn off my devices today at all. And then I'm going to just pop some more in. I think I'll do a very thin one. His antennae are going to have to go somewhere, I think. And I'll do a little one. Ooh, you tried to be very quiet. Your creeping scores 4.
Only 4?
Your brother's got 3.
Oh.
Hi, Kirsten. So I'm just popping in all of these little semicircles. In this neutral. Now you could make them different colours, they don't all have to be the same. And I may well glaze on top of them to change the colour a little bit if I want them to be different. But just to get me started, I quite fancied doing these. It'd be interesting to see which kind of semicircle makes the kind of ladybird body that I like best. Okay, so now I'm going to get watery versions of some of these colours and I am just going to add some water to all of my little bits of paint. So if you did the rainbow mandala and you've got some paint left over from whatever colours you used there, you could use those. So I'm just making them all wet. Ooh, I think I've got a little bit of green still on my brush, but that's okay. Let's wash. You could equally choose a totally unique little colour palette, whatever you fancied. So I'm going to grab a colour. I'm going to stick to this number 3 brush, I think. And I'm going to paint on essentially a kind of rounded shape, like this. That fills the square. And then, while it's still wet, we can drip in colours if we want to, so we can make it more intense in certain places by dripping in the same colour. We can also go in and drip in some water. Hi Heather! I hope your picnic is delightful. Thank you for popping your head in. I'm going to go back and do some more red ones, but I'm just going to go and grab a different colour. I'm going to grab an orange, and you can see I'm just kind of coming out, almost like doing the bottom bit of a capital A, and adding just a nice little bit of colour. And again, I like variation, and I don't really love having a flat colour, so for me, I would have fun going in and doing some wet and wet playing out. I'd find that really quite mindful. And this is the bit for me where you're getting to do that, the idea of observing with curiosity and just seeing what happens. There's not a plan, there's not a, you know, this is right, this is wrong, this is how it has to be. It's just an opportunity to experiment with and play with your paints. Oh, somebody's determined to score higher on their creeping. He's moved up to at least a 7, maybe an 8.
I'm just being quiet for your live stream. Common courtesy.
Thanks. I think I'll pop another red one maybe here. I don't feel you've got to stick with one colour or that you've got to put water in. You can totally do whatever you fancy and whatever is calling to you and feels right with those colours that you've got. If I'd have known, Kay, I would have told you not to wash it, but I just left mine there because I've got quite a lot of paint on. I'm a bit, I tend to leave them until I don't have a palette left and then decide if I can use up all the bits or if I need to wash one of them that has the least colours in or has gone the most into a big smoosh of grey. It's very unusual for me to head for the warm colours in my palette. I'm kind of finding that that's happening quite a bit at the moment, which is very interesting. So, these aren't your traditional ladybirds that are kind of just going to be red and black. I think there are going to be periods of quiet in this video where I'm just getting quite into doing this. So I'm really feeling and being aware of how my brush feels on the page and the sound it's making, how it feels in my hand. I'm also looking to see what the colours do. And I want quite light colours at the moment, so I want to be able to glaze on top of them. I actually am preferring them kind of fairly flat to doing the wetting wet with them. I find that happens a bit sometimes is when I'm using my spotters. I kind of like to use just single colours when it's a small shape. Almost like just connecting them with a curvy line that comes down to the bottom. I'm just curiously seeing what kind of shapes these different semicircles are making. Oh, we have another creeper. I'd rate that at least a 6 now. Richard got a 7. Sorry. That makes me think it looks like a bit like a crazy light bulb. I'm going to grab a little bit more of a red. And put another red here. Hang on, Sherlock. Good boy. And I think I need some more orange. Orange has lost its oomph a little bit. There we go, that's more orangey. Now you can obviously do this in all reds and oranges and yellows if you want to stick to kind of more realistic Ladybird colours. A little bit more of that indigo-y colour. I think was that one. Yeah. So it's close enough anyway. So and I think I'll need another one of those probably there because I think at least 3 of that kind of colour. Then I've just got to decide what colours to put here and here. That one could definitely be an orange one. And I think the other one is going to be a blue. Thanks, Kirsten. I had lots. I couldn't believe how many ideas I could come up with for ladybirds to make. I wouldn't have thought I could take ladybirds and come up with like 5 things that I could easily go, do you know what? That could make one of our monthly mindful watercolour kind of classes. So I've got my little bugs starting off. So now I know I've got to put their antennas on and I want to think about the kinds of patterns that I'm going to put on. And what I'm thinking is that obviously if I want to put bright colours on the top, I'm going to need to use something like paint pens because otherwise I couldn't put yellow over purple because it won't be yellow. It will be a browny kind of colour. Or I could use just a shadowy colour to put the patterns on, but I really fancy making them quite bright. So I think I'm just going to have a little work on the head parts for a second. I want to add on some antennae. I'm just going to grab a smaller brush, something like a 000, and I'm going to grab, I've got that neutral tone there but I'm not sure there's enough of it, so I'm going to take that, add a tiny little bit of this to it. I think there's my picky up brush. Oh, it's very big. There's that one. Just make it a little bit more blue and I'll see how that works. And I'm just going to go and add some antennae. I'm just going to do kind of just lines coming out at the moment. Yeah, it needs to be darker. That. And then you can have little droopy ones like that. And then this guy can have spirals, if I can get into the spirals. Yep. And here. Spiral ones are hard, I might not do those in. But to get at, I'm just going to do another little, and that's a bit of a fat one. See if we can lift it off and do it again. There we go. Just going to move it around. It's way easier if you are pulling away from yourself to do a thin line. So I may end up going over these in pen, I'm not sure, but it kind of helps to see a little bit where they might go and what they might do. If I pop them on like this, I can come and see some that are really close together there, and maybe some long ones. And some little short ones. What I'm finding is I'd quite like this head part to be darker. What I'm thinking is on everyone except for these ones I could use this dark blue, so I might do that. They've all got little antennae now. I'm just going to add a little bit of that dark blue here, and then I'm going to add a touch of the red, a touch of the orange, a touch of the yellow. I'm going to pick the green up from over here. It's a lot of the green. And grab a little bit of the blue, just that one I think. That one. Yeah, a bit of the blue, and then a bit of this purple, and then a little bit more of that. Definitely need some more of that. There, there's the purple. A little bit more. It's very greeny. That's kind of purpley, so a touch of the blue should. Oh, that was a big amount of blue. Another little touch of that indigo in there. And I've got a very nice dark kind of indigo colour. I'm just going to try going in with that. I'm not sure how dark it's going to be. Yeah, yeah. We'll see how that dries. I'm probably going to pull on the antenna as well. But shake your hands today. And if I do everyone darker, I'm certainly going to do some of them darker. I might do everyone darker. Yeah, I like that better with a more intense colour, I think. Just can't do it on those dark indigo ones. They need to have a paler kind of head. So once these little heads are on, I think should give it a try and then have a little bit of a play and see what works for doing the patterns on the top. I think this would work watered down as a really good shadow colour for doing glazing and painting patterns over the top, which would be really cool. Fun. Yep, just want to pop in the antennae a bit darker, I think. So. Oops, he wasn't meant to have dark antenna. There you go. Just going to turn that round so that I'm pulling the lines towards me at least some more time. It makes it easier. I'm going to give him a little dark antenna. Oh, I missed his head. Ah, let me paint you now. There you go. A bit of a okie dokie. Right, I'm going to give those a little quick blast to make sure they're dry before I do anything else. Here, Sherlock, here. Good boy. I am so sorry if that made anybody else's dog bark. Sherlock sometimes detests my heat gun quite passionately. Right, so I think I have a few ideas. One of them is that I could paint a shadow down the middle, a little bit of a triangle like this. So it needs to be watery. I don't want it to be as dark as it was really. But it will dry a little bit lighter. Put a shadow. So I could do that down a few of them. So I'm going to pop a shadow on. I'm going to do it on 3. Let's try it on a yellow one as well. So this is kind of like as if their wings have come open just a little bit. And you can put some patterns on the wings. Another one is that we could just have a line that goes down the middle. It has a little kind of triangle shape at the end, or a curvy shape, so you can just see the 2 wings like that. And then this little bit here will get filled in. So I'm going to do that upside down to help me not put my hand in wet paint. So a line nearly down to the bottom, and then you just do as if it's a capital Y, but a bit curvy, and add that bit in. So I'm going to do that again. I think I'll do it on this one. Another idea I've got is that we could have kind of backwards C's, like those 2 wings. But I'd like them to touch, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that stick a bit of shadow just like that, that I can add some spots or patterns into. So So if you mark roughly in the middle with a little dot, and then start at one edge and aim your C for that, and then do the same from the other side. If you want to make it thicker, then you can just make it thicker by painting the line on the inside. I'm just dripping in some extra colour. Hi Kerry. Oh, thanks Kirsten. Yeah, Sherlock can't like the dryer. I think it's because he wasn't in the room. He seems much worse if he kind of hears the noise and then has to come in and tell it to stop. So a little dot roughly in the middle, and aim the first kind of C shape for that, and then the same the other side. So I'm just going to leave it on a little bit thinner, and then I'm going to go and pop a couple more of each of those designs in. So this was the first one, so it's kind of a triangle shape with the top taken off. Here's the second one. Where have I not used the same? Oh, I haven't got any done on this line. Okay, let's do this one over here. So it's a line going down, and then as you just get towards the bottom, do a little curvy Y shape, and pull that bit in. And then we will do that 1, 2, 3 sorts. Maybe we'll do one more. Little dot in the middle. Make a C come to meet that. Like that. And like that. Now I'm getting this temptation now. I'm just going to follow and see what happens. What if I make that bit darker? What if I make that bit darker? I kind of quite like that, so I'm going to go back to the other ones and do that. There might be a little bit of overlap, but I'm kind of okay if that happens. And what I'm doing is I'm painting over it as well so that I can drip in some colour. Because actually, having a few bits that are quite dark is great if you want to go back in and add some of those lovely, lovely, lovely white dots. So there's another one. Quite like the idea of doing some of them so they're not symmetrical as well. That appeals to me, so I'm probably going to do at least one that's like that. So I think I'm going to do it on this one and see how it works. I'm going to put a half circle here and make it shaded. And then over here, I'm just going to put a line. That again, I'm going to fill in between. And do that here, but I'll put the little bit of a circle on this side. And the line there. And here, I'm going to put the circle down here, like that. And the line all the way over here. And then I've got a few little oddments left, so I want to add some kind of a shape into each one. That's drawing my eye a little bit there because I'm seeing the line between the two different bits of paint. I'm just going to go back in and add some more colour. It's a bit dark, but it's okay. I'll get to the hearts. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. He was on one like this, so he has a bit of room. I quite like those for having room to play. So I might pop a couple more of those in where I've got space. I'm just going to go and fill the other ones in, just as the inclination kind of takes me, really. This one I think I'm going to do like that. And all it is putting some kind of basic starting pattern on them. So this one doesn't have one of the ones with the circle on. I'm just going to actually that, quite like that. And then here, instead of a solid line, I'm going to do two little thinner lines. And then this row could have some fun like that, so I think we'll do some. Fill that one in. And then over there. So this one hasn't got one of the C ones, so I'm actually going to try just bringing them a little bit less on the top, so you get a little bit less of a gap. You compare that one to that one, it's just got a different size gap, just to see how I like that. This one's got 2 on, and it doesn't have this line. That. And this one doesn't have the asymmetrical, but actually I think I fancy doing another one of this sort. And then this line, I think I'm going to go that. And this one, I'm going to do a little bit of the asymmetrical kind of playing. So something playing with the idea of concentric circles on one side, and then some kind of a line or stripe on the other. And now they've all got some kind of shaded pattern on there. So again, I need to give that a dry. So what I'm going to do, just work probably on this top line here, and I'm going to grab out some white Poscas, and I'm going to grab out some coloured, oh I might use my aqua what's it pens, they'd be quite fun. Coloured paint pens, anything that will go over the watercolour and give you some colours. These let the colours kind of shine through. I think they're called Aqua Lip. Nancy will know, because Nancy told me about them and they are awesome. I'm also going to grab a few of my Poscas, so I've got those two, and I'm using my thinner ones. Anything that you fancy, and I'm just using the colours that I've got my Beetles in, so whatever colours you've used that you've got pens that will go on top of, grab them. I like to just have them out in front of me. I'm also going to grab some metallic-y pens. Like that. I'll try and tell you what I'm using when I'm using it, and then the only other thing I know I'm going to do is I'm going to need some pencil, but that's in a minute. I think. Yes. Okay. So this little guy. Well, I feel like I want to give you a little red antennae there, and then I'm going to put some little dots here, and it's just having some fun, adding some patterns, and I'm probably going to go for, to help it all kind of pull together, using the same colour as it is. You can obviously go for using a contrasting colour on the top if you want to. I'm going to just put some concentric circles in this one. I always forget how dark that purple is. There's quite a contrast there. But I'm also planning on sticking in some white dots, depending on how white the Posca pen is today. Ooh. Is quite white. And then blue. I think for the blue you can actually have spots. Something quite fun about the idea of a blue spotted ladybird, but not matching spots. Yes, and you can have You can have little dots on the end of your antennae too. And then I've got this funky green. I reckon I might put yellow on this one and see how it looks. I think I'm just going to go for going inside that line there, just to make it stand out just a little bit, like that. So just inside, either side of that one maybe. And then I kind of feel like I might want some more white dots maybe going along here. And along here. And I don't want the red one to go left out, so I'll have some along there as well. And that will help them all to pull together a little bit. I haven't put any on this one because he's already got lots of dots, but it does need a dot there. And give these a little blast with a heat gun to show you what I would do next with the pencil, so that you can go away and have heaps of fun finishing yours off. Ladybirds have what look like, they have two wings. They've got the casing, which is the bit that has the pattern, and they've got another set of wings underneath, is my understanding of ladybirds. I am going to grab my soft B pencils if I could find them. I appear to have stuck them behind something. Hi Law. So I'm going to go with, I don't know which one's sharpest. A 2B is quite sharp today, so I'll use that. So I'm going to press a tissue down just to see if these are dry. Yes, that one is, so I can go ahead. And what I'm going to do is put a little bit of this 2B pencil kind of there, just along the curve but not all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to put some here and just taper it a little bit to each side. And then I'm going to grab my cleanest blending stump and just go in and give that a little bit of a smudge without very much pressure at all. Like that. And then here on the head, I'm going to put a little bit here, and I'm actually going to go over the antennae. So just where the antenna meets, I've just put a little bit of a pencil line. And I may grab my mechanical pencil and just pop a little bit of a finer line in, just to add a little bit of detail to those, and bottom bit of this if I can. There we go. And that's how I would start to finish these off. I just add a little bit of shading, so put in some pencil that's smudgeable underneath the base of the head and around the curve. Now depending on what pens or pencils you use, some things let you do that more easily than others. And then you smudge that. And then I'm feeling like I want a little bit more here, so I'm just going to go over it. Could use a softer pencil. I'm feeling like this has got a darker colour, so it could take more. There we go. I'm just going to re-smudge that. There. And then I'm going to use my mechanical pencil to just add a little bit of an outline, and then again I'm just going to go over, I'm going to go over just the bottom of this antenna like that, and I feel like he needs a little bit kind of up here on his head as well, so I'm going to go in and just do that, just give him a little bit of a shaded head. How's that? I just popped my head up, Nancy. I have to wait, there's this big huge lag, so they might be there for a while. I can see, so I think that's probably close enough and it's focused-ish. And so you do that to each one. And I did say I would finish the first line, so I feel that I should. I'm also going to put a little bit down here for this one, either side of those kind of wings. And just, my blending's just gone a bit, needs a clean and a sharpen. And I've got a little baby one that I think would be more helpful. Now if you don't have a blending stump, you can use a cotton bud, use a makeup brush. Like it. Like that, so that's a bit darker. And then just then, if I am careful, I should be able to take out the lines a little bit so that we can start to see what they're going to look like. And it's probably a good idea to take those out before you do the pencil work. Oops. There we go. This last little, I think he needs a little bit there. This little guy. Blend. And really, these guys are just about giving yourself a nice fun little canvas, so you've been able to have a play with the paint and the colours and see how they are on the page, and just create some really simple repetitive shapes. Being able to play around adding the patterns. And then you've added a little bit of shading, and it is one that is kind of, it's about the process. So that's my top line. I shall use Nancy's tip to bring it up again. That is done, and then I will carry on doing that over my whole page. The borders that are kind of down each side, I will probably pop a line in, do some paint, and then I will just write either ladybirds or ladybugs in some kind of text going down there, or I might just put a word that they make me think of. So I think these are really lovely and simple to have a play with and a go at. It's certainly one that if I made the squares a bit bigger, I'll be really happy to say you could do with kids as well. You know, great fun to do. In fact, it would be really quite fun to just do one big one and do wet play in the body and then decorate it, which would be awesome. Thank you, Nancy. So, how did everybody find that? How are you all going with your little ladybugs? It's 5 past now, and so I'm feeling like we're in a place where we could stop and we could go away and finish these as we wanted to. It'd be a great one to do. You could just do a bug a day, or a bug whenever you fancied doing it, couldn't you, if you left the pens out in a little pot together. Everybody's gone really quiet. I think everybody's just doing their bugs and having heaps of fun. I think because they're quite small, it is. But do you feel like you've got a handle on the kind of the start to finish of a bug? Because once you've got that, you can do this and play with it and do all kinds of craziness. Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Kirsten. And so this is how I start out when I'm creating lessons. So I've learnt lots of things that I like and don't like from this. And my discernment says I would prefer it if I was working a little bit bigger. that actually I probably would like it more random on the page, and little things that I do and don't like about the colours. Thank you, Erica. Thanks, Jess. Awesome, Leodonna. Fantastic, Kay. So at this point, also, just to remind you, if you are somebody who likes tangling, that's fantastic, Julia. Please, if he's okay with me seeing, send me a picture. It doesn't have to go on the group, but I would love to see. Going into these with fine liners and doing a tangle pattern in the book might be really fun, even without putting on the shading bits possibly, because they're quite small. So if you like tangling, I think there's lots of possibilities here. And this is a little page that you can just come back and do a little bit of when time is tight and you need just a little bit of creating in your day. Awesome. I am glad you enjoyed that. It was so lovely to have you all come along. I will see, well, it'll be June when I see you for the next live, because it's June on Monday and we're starting painting in the class. I think June's is strawberries. Week 1 is painting strawberries, really loose, fun strawberries. So I'm really looking forward to having another go at that. You are more than welcome. Thank you, Jill. I want to say bye to you guys now. Oh, hi, Tina. I'm sorry, I'm just about to go. I'm sorry we missed you. Fantastic, Julia. You are welcome. Thank you for coming along, Nancy. Yes, Kirsten, tangling's a great idea, isn't it? If you like doing that, it definitely would be a great thing to tangle on top of. If you find that your pens aren't great on top of watercolours, if you've got a workable fixative, I'd definitely give it a spray of that. There's a one in Britain, we can't get workable fixative so easily, but there's a Dale O'Reilly fixative that you can draw with pen on top of. Awesome. Fantastic. Have a lovely rest of your evening or a rest of your day, Nancy, as it's morning for you. Take care, and I will see you all really, really soon. Please pop up anything you create or works in progress in the thread we've popped up in the group, because I really do love to see them. And take care.